Good afternoon, welcome. We said we'd go live the minute there is any transfer news, views, gossip, but we've actually got some confirmed news. The secret that Fatu is announced. I guess it's been on the cards really for a long time. We were talking about it last night in the Fan Zone show, but again, most fans will be pleased to know that it is officially announced.
Yeah, obviously we saw the announcement video, and they basically got a whole setup and a whole band to sing their song from last season. Again,
It was good.
It was
great video. Well done to the club. I mean, it's took them three weeks to make it.
Yes, and obviously the day that we did see him at the KP as well was the day that they obviously filmed it, because he was in the same outfit as he was there. But again, brilliant news to see that he's finally signed again. It's just brilliant, because for me last season he was my favourite player. He was, for me, one of the most important players last season. He got quite a few goals and assists, and obviously that Southampton hat trick for him again just made it just even better for us. So yeah, for me he was probably my favourite player last year.
Yeah, I think it's players become fans' favourites quickly when we see players who want to wear the shirt.
Again, yeah, he's 19, 20 now, and at the start of the season last year, I was like, we're really wanting to sign this young player who I can't see making the side, let alone getting into the team for the majority of the season. And then he's shown up and done what he can do. And I'm really surprised that Sporting did not want to keep him, because he is a very young and exciting player. And I honestly think in the next couple of years, he could be this player that go for £60-70 million.
I mean, get your views in, get your comments if you're watching this live. Andy Smith says, great news. He's going to be world class, and he works his socks off in there. Alex says, glad it's finally announced. I think Alex speaks for a lot of Leicester fans. It was sort of like we ended last season knowing or being told that his contract was, if we got promoted, he was going to be a Leicester player. So it just took a long time for that we all knew what was going to happen to actually be announced. And as Scott here says, you can do the whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Is that it?
Whoop whoop.
Finally, not going to lie, he says, had my doubts, which I think a lot of fans were starting to scratch heads a bit and going, what is going on?
I don't know, because obviously when we heard about his contract situation last year and saying that if we got promoted and he played the same amount of games, he would get announced and he would be a Leicester player next season. He obviously went into, I think it was on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, saying that he will be playing for Leicester City next season. So again, himself saying that he will be a Leicester player, and now it's announced, just makes it even better. And again, the only thing I was thinking of was why he wasn't announced out of the rest of the players first, because we knew he was going to be the one that is going to be a Leicester player this season coming in. So it's brilliant news, like Andres says. I just can't wait to see him starting the next season in the Premier League.
Great signing. Andres says, why did it take so long? I mean, the club, it's a nice little video with the band. So they've had to pull that all together.
But that was 3 weeks ago. That was 3 weeks ago, because he was in the same T-shirt before.
I'd love it if we could video edit at that rate of 3 weeks to make a thing. Mate, there might be all sorts of paperwork, Reedy, and permits that go through with it. Terence says, awesome, really pleased with that. I like a couple of comments here. Andy Medhurst says, Chelsea will be sniffing around him in 2 years' time. And Ben goes on to say, yeah, I wonder how much Chelsea would offer. He does fit the mould of being that young, talented player that nobody else has quite had a gamble on. None of the top Premier League clubs have had a gamble on him. As you say, Sporting have let him go. Leicester have took a gamble on him in the Championship. We're not. I don't think it's a massive gamble in the Premier League, but it is a big step up for him.
It is a big step up for him, but I think he'll do just fine. Again, he's that sort of player that doesn't care about taking on a man. He will do that. He's quite a strong player. He knows how to jump in the air. And for me, all them little bits of what I've just said is a brilliant reason why he can be a brilliant player in the Premier League. And I'm surprised, like I say, I'm very, very surprised no one's took him off us before we even re-signed him. So for me, it's brilliant news.
Did you just say, I like him, he knows how to jump in the air?
No.
What?
Me and Jamie both said,
no, he's good at jump.
Me and Jamie both said that he can jump higher than the majority of players can. And again, in the defensive areas, when he has to come back and defend, he is brilliant at that. And again, I know it's not just that one reason why I like him so much. He just all over it, every single bit of ability he's got is brilliant for us. So, and again, last season he was clearly my favourite player last season.
Yeah, Andy Medhurst says here, Leicester had him for a year, so they know what he's all about. A little bit like Lookman, and we allowed Lookman to slip away, and we know what sort of happened for Leicester going down after that. He does remind me a little bit of Lookman. I'd say I'd probably find him a little bit more exciting than Lookman.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Again, he's faster. He's got more to him. He knows how to beat a man. Again, Lookman was a bit of a slower, but probably a bit more technical player. But like people are saying, for me, he is probably going to be one of our stars again next season, in my eyes.
He is indeed. Thanks for joining us. We've got Tom and we've got Locks. We're going to add straight in both of them together. They're excited, obviously, to get their views into it. Tom, let's start with you. Obviously, we're all at work and it's just been announced. It took weeks and weeks, Tom. What's your view on it?
Oh, excited. I think this is the one that most Leicester fans were waiting for to see what happened. Obviously, we'd heard that we'd triggered his signing by getting promoted anyway. But obviously, when you start signing 2-3 players before him, you start thinking, what's going on? Has someone else come in? Have they got more money for him? But this is the exciting one. We saw how much potential he had last year in the Premiership, in the Championship, and be interested to see how much potential he can take into the Premier League, because he's a very exciting, young, talented winger who gets you off your seat. We saw that in enough games last year with his skill. There was a few games where he got frustrated, but I think the type of football Steve Cooper plays will give him more freedom to get wide and more freedom to do what he wants to do than he was probably a little bit restricted at times under Maresca with the type of football we were playing.
I mean, Locks can't wait for Steve Cooper football. I know that. Phil Howard says here, Fatu, he needs to calm down in certain situations, though, as he's proved a couple of times. But overall, he always put his 100% in Locks. I would probably agree with what Phil Howard says there. He's not quite the finished product yet.
He's not. No, he's not. He's an unpolished gem. I think, yeah, he's rash at times. I just think he's an excited character. You know, you saw it off the pitch as well. After every win, he'd be going crazy. And I just think, you know, he wants to get back and help the team. And he did that a lot. But sometimes it was, you know, to our detriment, unfortunately, like the red card, for example. That was a bit silly. But yeah, look, he's young. He's got so much potential. You know my thoughts on Steve Cooper, but I agree with Tom. What I will say is I think he will have more freedom. Wingers these days, creative players in general these days are they're not allowed to be as expressive as they'd want to be. You know, you don't see many Cristiano Ronaldo type players anymore because they're tactically they're so kind of that the manager wants them kind of to be very rigid and you know, be in certain situations, whereas Fatu, I think, is a type of player that you want to kind of free roam a little bit, like a Mahrez type player. He's gonna go past plays, he's gonna beat players for fun. But I want to see even more creativity from him, and I think he will under a not so rigid manager, you know, compared to Enzo. Obviously, Enzo was like, you do this and that's your job. And we saw last season Enzo getting, you know, in the press, he joked a lot, but I think he probably did get annoyed with Fatu quite a bit when he would cut in all the time and had take a shot. And fans got a bit frustrated at times with it as well, because a lot of them were going over the bar. But you see that one against Southampton, you know, and Bournemouth in the cup. That's all you need. You just need that one moment. So yeah, I think Cooper will be a good manager for Fatu. I think the way we're going to play and the freedom that he'll have will suit him massively.
I agree with what you're saying there about him last year, Locks. I actually was one of the fans, Tom, who never minded him having a shot because we weren't having many shots under Enzo, and I was always like, at least he's having a go. But I think Locks is right, Tom. Under Enzo, I think he was pulled back a couple of times. There was a few games where him, and I think it happened to Mavididi, probably got took off or told to calm down, because we saw different second half performances from people like these under Enzo. So do you think, like we're saying under Cooper, going to be given a little bit more freedom, and on that Premier League stage with the world watching, he'll love it, won't he?
Oh, definitely. It's a different type of football completely. You know, yes, it'll be rigid, and I think we'll be very much that we're going to be defensive, solid, and then it's counter-attacking football and play with freedom through the final third. As soon as we get the ball, boys, break as quick as you can and get into the box. That is the type of football I'm expecting that season from the signings that we've made already. That's what I'm looking at, and that's what I think we'll go back to. You know, we'll defend as a 5-4-1, and then as soon as we get the ball, you know, get it to Vards. Vards, you be the centre pivot and start the play. get the ball wide, get Mavididi, get Fatu bursting forward and breaking into the box. Where before, I think we saw on occasions West Brom away was one, Mavididi down the line and there's open space and he turns and passed it backwards, and the groans from the crowd that day. It was frustrating at times when you can see how much ability these boys have got. Fatu this year, I think he'll have the freedom to go for it, and I think you'll get more goals this year. I do believe you'll get more goals in his score because he'll get more chances to get into the box and be more of a danger man than when he is wide. He's just more of getting the ball and getting it down the line, because we played with the 2 number 8s as well, who are obviously taking up that central position in the box as well.
I was just going to say as well, on the topic of kind of comparing tactically last year and this year. Remember, Fatu actually didn't have a fullback behind him as well most of the time, because Ricardo would invert. So he did have to, he couldn't be as expressive or as attacking as he'd want to at times. But he's got that, he'll have that defensive backup, if you like, in Ricardo Pereira this season a lot more. So, and also overlapping, of course. Ricardo will be overlapping a lot, I'm sure, as well. So, yeah, I think Tom's right. We'll see more goals, more assists this year. If anything, it was a slow start for him. Not performance-wise last season. His performance was always there, but his goals and assists didn't come for quite a while. And when they did, they came in numbers. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I think he's going to be one of them where he'll be a favourite with the fans for as long as he's here. And let's be honest, probably 100 million quid in the bank for him in a couple of years' time.
Well, Reedy, Lee says here he's going to be great for the dressing room too. The other players seem to love him. I'd add to that. Again, we went to games like Preston away towards the end of the season. That last month of the season, he seemed to really, when it started going well, it was like all the focus from the fans seemed to go on to Fatu, his song, how he was dancing around. So it's hard to describe sometimes how a player suddenly becomes the focal point, and he sort of was it last year.
It's because of his energy. He just gives like he wants to play in the shirt 100%. Again, he wants to be in that team every single week. And when we didn't see him in the team, or when we knew the ball wasn't going to him, and there was that one game I can remember last season where FaZe just kept passing to the other side instead of going to Fatu. And the moment he passed to Fatu, we heard the crowd going mental because it led to goal. I mean, that's what I mean. That's the difference, and that's why for me, Fatu next season is probably going to be the most important player, because we know how well he can go forward. We know how he can beat his man nearly every single time. That's the difference between a player who, like say Danny Ward, who just he's happy to be here, and a player that actually wants to be scoring and winning games.
I mean, Tom, it's a slightly different subject, but I was speaking. I'm not name dropping here. I was doing a bit of WhatsApping with Ian Marshall, big old Marshy from back in the 90s this morning. And then I showed Reedy. Reedy doesn't know him because he's too young. So I showed some of Marshy's YouTube clips. And it again, a bit like Fatu, not at all the same player, but I'm saying it's funny how certain players, we still talk about, you and me, Tom, would talk about Marshy with a lot of affection. And you sort of go, I don't know what it is sometimes that just make players become fans' favourite, and Fatu ticks that box. And yet there are a lot of other players over the past few years who you go, they've sort of, the Adrian Silvas, Dennis Pratts, these people, they come in and they'd be okay. But there's sometimes people where you go, Fatu
was like a star boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, what was it saying? Don't fall in love with a lone player. And I think that was the problem. We all fell in love with him very quickly and then realised that this clause had been put in the contract. What made you fall more in love with him, because it was like he just wants to be here. Even at the end of the season, you could just tell that, like, you talk about games, Birmingham away with 3-2, he was the one with the camera, he was the one grabbing the camera and running towards the Leicester fans. He just got that instant connection with the team, with the fans. And if as he knew, so if he show 100% and play with 110, the fans will back you, the fans will love you for it. And there's just this connection between us for some reason. But it's great because I think, Look, Enzo's gone, but Enzo brought the connection between the fans and the players back. It had gone. It went 2 years ago under Rodgers. It was a horrible place to watch football at times over the last couple of years before Enzo came in. He then made it to get that connection back between the players and the fans, getting the players to come to the fans, especially at away games, up to the fans, go close to them, go and enjoy the celebration. You've just won 1-0. Doesn't matter. Go and enjoy the celebration. Enjoy every win. He brought that connection, but Fatu was the one who was probably leading it all to back end of the season, especially by running towards, SK1 and the Union F boys for singing his name. And he really, really has got a connection. I think Locke's nail on the head. The boys in the dressing room be buzzing to have him back, because I think he probably lights up the dressing room on a normal day. You go to train, you've got a player like him, one with his ability, but two, his personality must be unbelievable to be around every single day. I just put it on my Twitter. It's a massive thing getting him back for me. We all knew it was going to happen at some point, but now it's done. It's now right. Let's move on to the final couple of jigsaw pieces to get this squad to where it needs to be at. Yeah, I think we're all sitting out, and we're happy that the signings have happened early, and we're not sitting here going, when are we going to sign someone?
I'm with Scott, who's I'm starting to get too excited as well.
I am as well.
I know. Are we getting you on board the Cooper train? Super Cooper, come on.
I'm not on the train still, by the way.
Come on, yeah, it's irrelevant. Yeah, it's irrelevant to me. I don't care, as long as we stay up, that's all that matters. But look, just want to say two things. First of all, if the reason we've had to wait this long for Fatu was because of the announcement video, then fair play, because it's a very good video. And
it should take 3 weeks, Locks.
Oh, it's great, Reedy.
Well, it's good, but not 3 weeks taken wise.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Yeah, you know what the club's like though. They need to get Hollogram on board instead, I think. But yeah, the other thing I'd say is Diabate, Rashid Ghazal, Lookman, Tete. I think now with Fatu, we finally got our Mahrez replacement. He's he is an absolute sensei. Tom, don't just give me this, all right, mate. I'm not saying the same type of player, but I'm saying in terms of on that right side, he's the best.
I think you're harsh on Lookman. I was just going to say, I think you're very
Lookman was good.
Lookman,
yeah, of course.
To put him in that bracket with Gazelle.
No, but I'm just naming players that obviously have played out there and haven't stuck around or haven't done amazing. So I think we finally got our man out there, and yeah, it's a massive plus. It's a massive step forward to trying to stay up next season. I think we all knew it was going to happen, but now that it has happened, finally it's announced, we can kind of just forget about kind of the anxiety, I suppose, over the deal and look forward. And on to the next signings. That's it. On to the next signings now. Keep building.
Thanks, Locks, for joining us. Been great to get your views. Same for you as well, Tom. Thanks for hopping on. I know it's all a bit unannounced, but we go live as soon as anything happens. So thanks for you,
lads,
for jumping on.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Tom. We'll let them go. Thanks, Reedy, as well for you. We were hoping it was going to happen. It did happen. It's took long enough, but not like you say. If you've not watched the announcement video, go and watch it. It's good fun and it gets you in the mood. And just like Jamie says here, I'm starting to get excited for this season.
I am getting very excited. Like Jamie said there. Don't get me wrong, I do feel like we need maybe one or two more signings coming in the door. But again, with the signings we've got and the players we've actually brought in, with obviously Fatu now signing as well, the team is looking very, very positive. And like I think you said yesterday on your show, that it's looking a lot more stronger and a lot more like a Premier League standard side. And as long as we keep them goals out and we defend well and we get some wins on the belt, we could actually stay up. And I think we could if we get things right. And that's how I think that the team we've got now is near enough Premier League standard.
It's all starting to look good. Welcome officially to the club to Fatawu.
Should you say a song?
You can.
No.
Come on, then.
Fatawu! Abdul.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Everards, Barlow Blinds, Pukka Pies, Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hollogram, Take Me, Newby Co, The Fox's Arms and Rainbows. Run by the fans, for the fans. Follow us on socials at Leicester Fan TV and visit LeicesterFanTV.com for all the latest news, views and videos.